Eric Hunter here, and I get a lot of questions from people. Can others touch the pendulum or can they use my pendulum? There's a lot of people who have very strong opinions about this. And when you're learning how to use pendulums for either dowsing, which is asking questions with the pendulum, or pendulum alchemy, when using it for energy healing or manifestation, you'll sometimes come across people who say, you absolutely cannot touch my pendulum, or you should not let other people touch your pendulum. So, in this video, I'm going to address this topic because it's a very common question and common concern that people have. All right away I can tell you if you strongly hold the belief that no one should ever touch your pendulum and that it will become contaminated and not work anymore, then this video is probably not for you. If, however, you're open-minded, you're curious, and you want to know, like, is it okay or not? I've heard conflicting things. I'm going to give you my views in this video. So, and they're going to go against common wisdom, common convention, because of the experiences that I've had over the last decade with thousands of people. All right, so energy concerns. Probably the number one thing that people are concerned about is that if someone else touches or holds their pendulum, that it's going to somehow energetically contaminate the pendulum and make it so that it's not as accurate as to help to answer questions. Like it will somehow ruin the accuracy by energetic contamination. And a lot of times these people feel that they've created some kind of an energetic bond with the pendulum and that the pendulum has this special bond with them, and etc. That's fine if you want to believe that, but my view is that the pendulum is a tool. It's like a hammer or a screwdriver, and if the tool is well made and the tool is in good condition and someone knows how to use the tool, it doesn't matter, who uses it, as long as they don't break the tool or wreck it somehow. So, if I'm good at using a hammer and I use a well-made hammer, it will work for me. And then if I let someone else use that hammer, as long as they know how to use the hammer properly and they're not going to destroy it somehow by, doing something stupid with it or lose it or something like that, they will be able to successfully use the hammer too. Likewise, if someone is not really that good at using hammers and they use a particular hammer, they're going to get the result that they get just based on their ability to use it. But as long as the hammer is not damaged or broken, you could then hand that hammer over to an expert craftsman and they will be able to use that hammer skillfully, even though someone who didn't know what they were doing used it before. So I think it's the same thing with pendulums. Based on the thousands of people I've worked with over the years, it doesn't matter who touched the pendulum before or even who's holding the pendulum. For pendulum dowsing, what matters is how intuitive is the person and how accurately can they reflect their intuition into answers. So if you have a pendulum and you let someone who's not very intuitive use it, they're going to get answers that aren't good because they're not intuitive. If you then take that same pendulum that they just used and you are highly intuitive and you pick it up, you're going to be able to get good answers because of your intuitive ability, not because of the person's energy who touched the pendulum before. As long as the pendulum is working properly, which in the case of pendulum dowsing, it means that the pendulum moves easily when you intuit an answer. Well, it's going to work regardless of who touched it. And it's not going to work regardless of who touched it if, you're not good at doing this. Okay, same thing with pendulum alchemy, where you use the pendulum for energy healing and manifestation. If you are skilled at pendulum alchemy and then you let someone else touch your pendulum and use it, and then you pick up your pendulum again, guess what? You're going to be just as skilled at pendulum alchemy using that pendulum as before they touched it and after they touched the pendulum. So it doesn't really matter if someone else touches your pendulum in terms of energy, in my view, because these things are tools. And unless the tool is physically broken somehow, or lost, it's going to function properly if you know how to use it. If you don't know how to use it properly, well, then it's not going to work as well. But it doesn't matter as long as the tool is intact and a person who knows how to use it can pick it up regardless of who used it before, and it will still function. Okay, next point. There are a couple valid reasons why you might not want to let other people touch your pendulums, but it's not due to this idea of contamination. Like for example, here's a really beautiful pendulum, the Akashic Records pendulum. It's a pretty robust pendulum, but if you were to give this to a small child and they start whipping it on the ground, or they throw it, or you give it to some teenagers and they use it for something silly, it could get damaged, or even maybe like this little loop on the top could break off or something, and then the pendulum's not usable anymore. That would be a valid reason. If the person is careless, irresponsible, does crazy stuff with your pendulum, you know, that could be a problem. Also, someone might lose it. So you could say, let somebody borrow your pendulum and use it, and then they forget about it and they just put it down somewhere and then it's lost. That's not cool. So that would be a valid reason not to let someone else use your pendulum. The other reason, and this is the more common reason, why you might not want to let other people use your pendulums is because they may see your pendulum and be like, wow, that is so awesome. I love playing with your pendulum, or I love using your pendulum. Can I have it? And then you end up giving it to them because you want to be a good person, you like them, you want to be friendly, and you end up giving them your pendulum. So that happens a lot, actually. So that's another reason why you may not want to let people use your best pendulums, just because they might like it so much they want to keep it. Okay, now there are some really good reasons why you want to let people use your pendulums and touch and handle them. The first one is that it inspires curiosity. It sparks curiosity and it gets people wanting to learn. Because once people try pendulums out and they realize it's not something scary or weird, and they can actually have a lot of fun with it. Kids love playing with pendulums. Your family and friends can really enjoy doing it. It's a really fun thing you can do together, whether it's asking questions, getting answers, or using it for energy healing and manifestation. It's a great thing you can do with your family and friends, and it's a lot of fun, and they'll love it, and it can improve their lives and make it better. All right, another thing is that if you get injured or you have to go to the hospital or something happens, if someone in your family or a friend knows how to do pendulum alchemy, they can help you. So, for example, a person in my Facebook group just said, oh, I went to the hospital and I'm feeling terrible. I just got out of the hospital and I don't know what to do because I'm so out of it. I can't do the normal pendulum alchemy that I do. Well, if you trained a family member or a friend and showed them how to do some basic things, they could neutralize trauma, they could witness total healing, they could send you some energy, they can manifest a healing for you. And it's not that hard to do, and it's something that your family members and friends can do for you. Also, if you have a headache or a part of your body that's hard to reach, like you want to work on your chakras, if you have a family member, like a kid or your spouse, your partner who could do it for you, it doesn't require much training at all. It's very easy to do. And they can just do it for you, and you can just lie down and you can instantly feel better for something that could otherwise turn into a problem. So very, very handy. Same thing with the dowsing, the pendulum dowsing, or the asking questions, because let's say you're not very intuitive, but you have a kid or your spouse or your partner or a friend who's highly intuitive. Well, you introduce them to pendulums, you show them how to use it, they get good at it. You can ask them and say, hey, what did you get? What's the reading you get? You get a yes or no. What do you get from this? They can help you out. So that's another good reason to help people learn how to use pendulums. Let them touch your pendulum, let them hold it, get interested in it, because the bottom line is it can help you. Okay, so I've kind of gone through the pros and cons. I strongly recommend that you let other people check out your pendulums, touch them, hold them. It will not influence the pendulum at all. It will not harm your ability to answer questions or to do energy healing or manifestation, unless you want to make that the reality. If you choose to hold that belief that, hey, if someone touched it, things are going to go bad, well, you might create that reality just by holding that belief. But otherwise, I strongly recommend it. Have an open mind about it. Have fun with it. Let people check them out. Because the more people who are doing this stuff, the pendulum alchemy and the dowsing, the more accepted it becomes, the less weird it seems. And the world will be a better place. With the pendulum alchemy, we always do the energy healing and manifestation work using the pendulum for the highest good of all concerned. So a rising tide lifts all ships, makes your life better, makes your family's life better, makes your friends' life better. Everyone else is in your sphere of influence benefits from you doing this work. So get them interested in the pendulum, because the more people who are doing it, the more the world is going to benefit. All right, thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate you for that, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.